Welcome back to the Columbus, Ohio Real Estate News Show, where we dive into the stats and news that impact the Columbus, Ohio real estate market. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or invest, or just want to stay informed on the market, this is the show for you. I'm Ryan Dieter with Key Realty, your host, and in today's episode, we're going to dive into the December 2024 numbers as we're now at the end of January, which means that we have the full year's worth of data. I did the monthly market forecast last week. If you haven't checked that out on YouTube or even podcast, please go back and listen to that. It's a little bit longer. It's about a 45-minute video or show where I dive into what I think is going to happen in 2025. This episode, now we're going to look back more so on the 2024 numbers and kind of look at what data points and some new data points that I've really not touched on a whole lot in these shows that help you understand your local markets. I want to really focus on that because now more than ever, your local area matters more than anything. The neighborhoods of Columbus or the surrounding areas of Columbus are going to be different compared to the other areas. So it's more important to understand how to understand is your market. Is there opportunity in certain areas of Columbus, or is there still a hot seller's market? Is it still competitive in certain areas? So this will be a really helpful episode for you, whether you're looking to buy, sell, or again just stay informed, understanding what's going on in your neighborhood. Are your home prices increasing or decreasing maybe in your area? So stay tuned as we dive into the numbers. All right, as you can see here, I got the Columbus, Ohio Realtor board statistics that they produced for us pulled up for December of 24. And again, this is available to you. If you go to their website, it is available. But we're going to dive into some of the numbers they hear that I want to get into the micro markets as well to kind of give you an image of what's taking place in Columbus to help you understand your area, whether you're looking to buy in a certain area or live in a certain area, to understand what's going on in your neighborhood. So first of all, this is obviously all of Columbus region, so it's all these counties combined, and we're seeing, this is year to date. So this is what took place in 2020. So 2024 numbers, and this is December compared to last year, last December of 23, and so it's just kind of a good understanding of what's going on month to month, and this is kind of takes us into the year to date. So the month to month's nice because if you're looking to make a move right now, this number to month to month is going to be more important to you than it is to the year to date because it's going to tell you the trends, what's going on. Year to date is, if you're looking at, your homeowner wanting to understand what's going on in your neighborhood, this is probably a better holistic number for you to think about. So with that said, let's dive into some of the year to date now that we have, full all the months of 2024 compiled with us. And if you actually haven't had a chance yet, I did my market forecast last week, and I kind of predicted what I think is going to happen in 25. But just as quick summary is that I think we're going to see a lot of the similar trends of 24 that we see in 25. So just keep in mind this. I feel like comparing last year and what's happening today is going to make a big impact of what's we can kind of see down the road, in my opinion. So go back and watch that video if you want to get a full detail of kind of what trends are happening that I think is going to impact the market here in 25. But as you can see here, we had a increase in sales in 25 or 24, where most of the country saw a decrease. Columbus still held steady and saw just over 4% increase. But we were down in 23 quite a bit. I don't think I have 23 pulled up here. No, I don't. But 23 was down, I think about 13%. So month over month, we saw a huge increase, making up for that, but it didn't make a huge dent in the year over year. So we're still up year over year, but down as a whole from the 2020 to 21 markets where we saw a huge increase and saw record sales those years. But this is kind of more in line with what we saw pre-pandemic sales numbers, just below those numbers is what we're starting to see. And so it's kind of more of we're getting back to what, quote unquote, a normal market when it comes to sales and what's going to take place. And a lot of this rides on interest rates. There's a lot of buyers out there that are, kind of, either priced out of certain markets because of interest rates, as we saw in 23 or 2020 and 21, how, we had a ton of buyers because interest rates were so low. So, if interest rates do come down, I think that number is going to be really indicated on the interest rate market. But at the same time, we're still seeing plenty of buyers out there for the number of homes that are on the market. So enough said that. In contract kind of shows us what's going down, what's going to take place next month. As we can see, there's quite a bit of drop off from this month and next month. So we're going to see those numbers. Probably not going to see that 13% change, as we only saw 0.3% change or in contract. So we'll probably start the year. This is kind of where we'll see January's numbers start the year kind of flat when it comes to number of sales. Or close to that, as we see the number of sales dropped off a little bit more, our number of in contracts dropped off a little bit more than it did last year. So we're kind of see those numbers not make a huge impact moving forward. Average price, median price, and average price per square foot. I look at these numbers holistically again, and you can see year to date we ended up about 5, 6, and just under 5 there on average price per square foot. So, 5.5. You'd say an average of 5.5 or so on those numbers. You're going to see the median price. And that's kind of what a lot of people focus on. They're going to hear the 6% median price increase in the Columbus, Ohio market. So, which is a pretty healthy. Those are pretty healthy numbers when it comes to a market. When it comes to appreciation rate, you can see the average price here is 360. I didn't do the math, but I can tell you it's probably you're increasing your price point around 20K a year at that 6%. Or even that 320 medium price. Let's use that one. So you're maybe just under $20,000 a year when it comes to 6% of those numbers of 320. So that's a healthy appreciation rate. That's some equity that a buyer or owners will get, but it also allows buyers to still be able to save enough to purchase your average or medium price home, where they're not getting left behind in the dust because the prices are just increasing too fast. As you're able to finance those prices, you don't need to save 20K a year, but you need to save 5 to 20% to buy that, and buyers are able to do that right now. For the most part, not everyone. I know there's a lot of issues right now with other prices being up as well, so making it even harder to save than ever. As we're still seeing a lot of prices, remain high, not just in housing, but across the board. But I also want to talk a little bit about days on market and how that's a great indicator, but also, we're seeing new listings, roughly the same, a little bit higher than last year. Days on market's up. And that just indicates that, hey, like we're seeing houses take a little longer to sell. Which means that there's probably going to be more negotiations happening, but at the same time, prices are still up. So it's not like you're getting fire sales. So it's kind of a non-little thing to think about. But I think people, sellers are pricing probably higher, kind of understanding these markets, understanding that people are still willing to pay more than they were last year, but we're taking a little longer to sell them. So just keep that in mind. If you're a seller, you have to be a little more patient. If you're a buyer, it's you may have time to actually negotiate a little bit sometimes. Now, we are still seeing plenty of homes hit the market, on a Friday and be closed or be in contract by Sunday, Monday. So a good house that's positioned or priced really well, whether no matter the condition, if it's priced well and positioned well compared to what's sold in the neighborhood, it probably will sell within that first weekend. There's just a lot of people right now that are trying to push pricing, and a lot of sellers that want to push the price still. And that leads to more negotiation. It leads to more favorable terms for the buyers and less competition. So that's just kind of a quick note there, and I'm seeing that in the market as well. As you can see here, what I want to focus on is that this is as a whole, the median list price at time of sale. This is something I haven't really talked about much, and you know when I look for this data, and I'm not really focused on this personally. And as I'm looking at this today and really dwelling on this number, it's kind of an interesting stat as you can kind of get an understanding of what's going on in the market. The median list price is still, at the time of sale, which I assume this means, a time of in contract to the actual median sell price. And so, if someone knows if I'm wrong on this, I've always looked at this. This is the median price once it's in contract, not the time of closing, because the median sell price would be that. And so you can see here that it's about a $5,000 difference. So that's kind of the average price that people are, you kind of see, okay, you're getting about $5,000 off the price. Now, if that's the case, people are negotiating price, they're also negotiating terms, which is a huge factor for buyers out there. And for sellers, that's something to be aware of, that it's not just about getting the best price, but it's also about getting the best terms. And so this doesn't show that, hey, they may be getting a new furnace or a new roof thrown in as well, which is another, five to $10,000 on top of that. So if there is negotiations that take place, there's one buyer to one seller, and the buyers have a little bit more leverage. We're seeing some things be taken, some things kind of happen in a sense of buyers negotiating things, health and safety issues mostly. So nothing, roofs and furnaces are a little bit tough right now, but if you find something wrong with it, that's immediate health concern or immediate structural or safety concern in the house, we are seeing those get thrown into some negotiations. Not all, but a lot more than we were in the last handful of years. So that's a great thing for buyers, in my opinion. It keeps buyers from having to make those tough decisions of having to make large expenses as soon as they buy a house. Um, and then inventory here. Inventory of homes are continuing to rise. As we see here. Inventory is obviously not year to date, but this is kind of where we are year to date as well. Obviously, this is today. Inventory is rising, 20 almost 23%, and just over a month and a half. And again, that means that if no new homes hit the market, um, the time the buyers buy up all the homes at the rate they're buying right now, that would take a month and a half to close on that. And let's look at last month's inventory. So it did come down compared to last month. So we're seeing, I'm not surprised at the number of closings we had. As closings are up, that means that this number is going to be down. But I can see that kind of rising again next month as we start the year off with a little more inventory, but at the same time, new listings are also down. So that's a huge factor. It's going to keep this number down as well. We need more new listings to hit, so this can increase not only for buyers, but I think it's healthy for sellers that are looking for good comps, as prices are still selling more than they were the year before. So it helps you understand what's going on in your neighborhood. So again, just to recap year to date, some things I want to hit on is that median price to kind of looking back at that number I talked about, median sell price of the home, you're seeing 319, and the median sell price was 319. So kind of exactly the same. You saw last year was actually a little lower, so people were actually still getting actually a little higher. Sorry, so people were actually uh, overall still paying more over list price as a whole versus last year. You're really breaking even. So we're kind of that flatlining mark. So it's kind of a cool, not cool, I don't know if it's cool or not, but it's kind of an interesting stat that it actually came out right at the same number there. So, buyers are essentially getting in contract roughly around, you can see that's, percentage of list price received is very close to that 100% mark, and we saw the 104 last year. So, a little bit more negotiations taking place we saw last year than 23. I've noticed that too myself. Yeah, so just something to consider when you're thinking about, okay, in this area, as we're going to dive into areas next. In these areas, am I most likely going to be paying over list price or over, the price that it's advertised as? Or am I able to negotiate a little bit off the top here? And so what I want to focus on next is going into this is the page that you'll see on that on the Columbus Realtor website. You can often just click on let's go back and see if it shows us. You can click yes. This is their housing report homepage here. You click on the news release, which is going to be the Columbus Board's news release of these numbers month, every month. And then you can come over here to the side and see it's going to break it down into both counties and then communities. And so this is the, for individuals, this is the most, the best resource for you to understand what's going on in your neighborhood and your local market. And so obviously, it's like looking at national numbers doesn't really matter to Columbus, but there's trends going on. So it's good to look at the trends, but really what's taking place in your backyard is more important than ever. Because, as we all know, real estate is local. And so, certain areas like, for example, here, we have Clintonville Beach Wall versus Bexley. It's going to be a totally different community, different buyers looking in those communities. So um, let's just take a look at the Clintonville numbers, kind of give you a comparison here, show you what difference. We just went over the local area, and you can see the numbers, month over month are way, higher than the Columbus area. But as a whole, average prices and year to date are very similar. You're seeing that median sell price is actually down a little bit, but the average is actually higher. So I would say they're very similar when it comes to that. Let's take another area, like let's go. I want to look at Blacklick here is another area, kind of the opposite end of the spectrum here, and it's not necessarily like the bottom's falling out, but you're just not seeing as strong numbers as a whole. So we're seeing inventory was much lower, but it's actually risen quite a bit, and we're seeing homes not sell for nearly as high, and we're seeing the average price as a whole, especially this last month, is way down, um, you know, almost 15%. But yeah, you're seeing pretty much steady, flatlining numbers compared to the year before. So that's kind of a good indication of what's going on in your neighborhood and understanding like, hey, how competitive is the neighborhood? Am I going to have to really make a competitive offer, or my prices and my home values, going up quicker than the average area of Columbus? Looking at these numbers is going to be a huge factor, and you can kind of see a snapshot here. It has average price, median price, new listings. You can see it gives you a nice little snapshot of what's going on. Yeah, most of them are positive, and every once in a while, I will say, you got to look at these. I would look at really 4 or 5 months of it, because one month may not indicate a huge number. You may have an anomaly one month where people just aren't listening, or you have listings that aren't as desirable. You may have 5 listings that need a ton of work versus one month you may have 5 listings that are amazing listings that go for well over asking. And so you got to look at it holistically. Looking at the year to date, it's always good too. So those are kind of helpful numbers. Hopefully, again, you find this useful. You find this information useful. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. It helps me understand if these videos are even worth making. So appreciate it. Comments are always greatly appreciated as well. Reach out if you don't have my number. You can Google me at Ryan Dieter Realtor, and I should pop up. But reach out to me directly if you have any questions. And thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next month.